Have you ever stopped to think that our entire civilization, all of it, our laws, our science, our stories, it all rests on one single ancient invention? Today, we're going to dive into how the simple act of writing became, well, humanity's most powerful tool.
Seriously, just take a second and really think about this. Imagine everything we've ever learned, everything we've ever discovered or created, just gone. Poof, vanished the moment the people who knew it were no longer around. Sounds like a sci-fi horror movie, right?
Well, here's the kicker. For almost all of human history, that was just reality. That was normal. Knowledge was as fleeting as a spoken word and as fragile as a memory.
Okay, so let's really get into this. Let's try to imagine a world held together only by what people could remember. A world where history wasn't written down, it was just told.
The spoken word is incredibly powerful, but it's also so fragile. It can only reach as far as your voice can carry. And you know how it is. Stories change a little bit every single time they're told, kind of like that game of telephone. Without a way to lock knowledge in place, a whole society's memory could just fade away or get twisted over time.
So right around 4000 BCE, as cities started to get bigger, trade routes got longer, and governments got way more complex, well, human memory just hit a wall. It hit its limit. You couldn't just remember who paid their taxes or exactly how much grain was in the temple storerooms. Society had literally gotten too big for its own brain.
And that's where the Sumerians come in. These people, living in ancient Mesopotamia, didn't just invent the wheel. Oh no, they invented something maybe even more important, a way to store information outside the human mind. They basically invented an external hard drive for civilization.
And they called this system cuneiform, which literally just means wedge-shaped. See, it wasn't about beautiful script or flowing letters. Not at all. It was a super practical solution using the stuff they had lying around, clay from the riverbeds and reeds.
The whole process was just brilliantly simple. You'd grab a wet slab of clay, you'd use a sharpened reed to press these little wedge shapes into it, and then you just let it bake in the hot sun. And the result? A record that was tough, durable, and basically indestructible. These things could last for thousands of years. Now, a system this revolutionary doesn't just appear out of nowhere, fully formed. It had to evolve. It started with really simple pictures and grew into something that could, and did, change the world. So in the very beginning, it was super straightforward. If you wanted to record, say, 2 sheep, you'd just draw a little picture of 2 sheep. Makes sense, right? It's intuitive, but it's also really, really limited. Think about it. How do you draw a picture of love, or justice, or yesterday? You can't.
And this was the giant leap forward. This was the game changer. The symbols stopped being just pictures of things and started representing the sounds of spoken language. And all of a sudden, bam, you could write down literally anything you could say. The system went from being limited to being limitless.
But here's the funny thing. Writing wasn't born out of some grand desire for poetry or philosophy. Nope, it was invented for a much more boring reason. Accounting. It was a tool for bureaucrats and merchants to keep track of stuff. It was all about administration, which, in its own way, was absolutely revolutionary. But of course, once a tool this powerful exists, people find new and incredible ways to use it. It turns out the accountants accidentally gave the poets and the kings their greatest gift ever. For the very first time in human history, laws could be written down, carved in stone, made public, and, in theory, applied equally to everyone. Before this, justice was just whatever the most powerful guy said it was. Writing made it permanent. This quote, "an eye for an eye," isn't just a law, it's the foundation of a stable society. And just look at that date, 1754 BCE. That's almost 4,000 years ago. Let that sink in. That is the incredible power of a permanent written record. And of course, it wasn't just about laws. People started writing down their stories, their myths, their knowledge. The Epic of Gilgamesh is one of the first great works of literature in human history, and we can read it today only because some ancient scribe took the time to press it into clay thousands of years ago. This is it. This is how history itself begins. So what does all this ancient Mesopotamian history have to do with you and me today? Well, pretty much everything. That little spark of an idea started a fire that has never, ever gone out. Think about it.
This 5,000-year-old technology is the direct ancestor of every single thing you read. The book on your shelf, the laws that govern your country, the code running your phone, yep, even the very words appearing on this screen right now. It all traces its roots back to those Sumerian scribes and their humble clay tablets.
The invention of writing allowed us to build on the knowledge of everyone who came before us, to actually have a shared past, a history. So it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What's the next great invention that's going to so fundamentally change how we think, how we remember, and who we ultimately become?